Welcome to the City Current Show, powered by Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services.
This show focuses on sharing good news and powering the good in our community. Now here's your host, City Current CEO, Jeremy Park.
Welcome back to the City Current Show, powered by Higginbotham. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference, empowering the good. And that's why we're honored to be talking about Able Youth. We're honored to have with us Amy Saffell, Able Youth Executive Director. How are you doing, Amy?
I am doing wonderful. I'm glad to be here.
Well, we have a lot to talk about. You do so much to power the good. And when you're talking about showing the ability, that's a big part of the theme. So let's start out with a little bit of history. Give us some background, some history for Able Youth.
Yeah, so Able Youth was founded in 2003, and it was founded by a guy named Rick Slaughter, and he helped fit kids for their wheelchairs. And he would ask kids, just being nice and wanting to have a conversation, just, what do you do for fun? And the kids would say, well, I go to my brother's baseball game, or I go to my sister's soccer game. And he would say, well, that's what your brother and sister do for fun. What do you do for fun? And they wouldn't have an answer because there wasn't anything for them. And so he founded the organization. And it is important to know that most of our kids aren't eligible for Special Olympics. Our kids have physical disabilities. So really, for the most part, if they aren't participating in sports with us, they're not participating in anything. And so he set out as a athlete himself to help kids learn how to play sports. And he also realized, though, that not everybody is going to be a high-level athlete, and realized the power that sports did have, no matter what the level of kids that were playing, the power that it had to help them become independent, and then start to realize, okay, if I can play basketball, what else can I do in life? And so really we fuse independence and adaptive sports, and that's the way we've been from the very beginning.
I think the adaptive sports really has become so much more mainstream in such a great way that it's raising more awareness for the opportunity. But just like you're saying, for these youth who don't have the opportunities, you're providing a huge opportunity for them to experience the power of sports, confidence building, teamwork, camaraderie, community. Like, there's a lot to what you do that I think is really important, way above and beyond the physical aspect of playing the sports. And so let's go ahead and dive in, because you all do a lot. I think the other thing that's really interesting too is you talk about for kids who are in a wheelchair, for instance, their parents may not, know how to help teach them to be in a wheelchair. And there's a lot around that you help as well. So there's a lot to talk about, but let's start for your end. Go ahead and start talking about some of the different programs, because there's so much to what you do. So start with Super Sports Saturday.
Yeah, every month we have a Super Sports Saturday, and it's for kids really as young as 2, or we've had actually kids younger than that just got their first wheelchair. But it's also important to know that a lot of our kids are not full-time wheelchair users. They may need a wheelchair to play sports, but they may be able to get around their house without a wheelchair and things like that. So we help those kids too to realize all that they can do. But our Super Sports Saturdays are monthly, and they are Saturday mornings, and they're an opportunity for kids of all ages to do different kinds of sports. We do anything from wheelchair basketball to tennis to track and field. We do just silly games. We help kids just learn how to be independent in the process as well. And so we always fuse that in as well. We're constantly adding more sports as well. We've done some lacrosse and some volleyball and things like that. So all kinds of stuff that we're always adding. But it's also, like you had said, it's a really important opportunity for kids to get to meet one another, because a lot of our kids may not see any other peer their age in a wheelchair or with a physical disability their entire life, going back to school or anything, unless they're with us. And so it's a really important opportunity for kids to get to know one another, and then for some of the kids to help each other learn about independent skills. There may be some kids that are further along in the story than other kids, and they can help each other and help each other realize too that, hey, there are a lot of kids out there like me, and we all can thrive and have our best lives. And so Super Sports Saturdays are a really important opportunity for kids of all ages to get together.
Talk about some of the magic moments, because I look at, for instance, I've had a chance to play wheelchair tennis, And it gives you a whole new appreciation when you try to stop and start. And there are different rules and modifications, like 2 bounces versus 1, but it gives you a whole new appreciation for the talent and the athleticism required to play these sports. And so talk about, to me, I think when you see a child light up playing tennis or volleyball, for the first time and realize they can do it and they're around, like you said, their peers, what does that look and feel like on your end?
Oh, it's just awesome for kids to realize that they can do things that maybe they have seen their peers do and never thought that they could do, and realize that maybe what they were told about their own capabilities is not right, that they can do really whatever they want to do, and that they can have a normal childhood like everybody else. And so I think it just to see kids' eyes light up when they realize what they can do is just a really magical time. And this definitely something that we all are just so excited to be in and to get to witness as well. And the parents too. Sometimes maybe the parents that had no idea what their kid could do either. And so for them to see what their child can do and then start to really realize, their future might be very different than they once maybe feared that it would be. And so those are just some really, really wonderful moments that we all get to be a part of.
Talk about Independence Camp.
Yeah, so Independence Camp is our yearly opportunity for kids to spend a weekend without mom and dad around and get to learn independent skills. And we fuse independence in everything we do, but this is kind of a more intensive time where they're with us for the whole weekend, and they learn things like navigating stairs or navigating curbs or gravel in their wheelchair. They learn a lot of times, and our parents are really excited about this, is that they learn household chores. And so we can have pictures and to say, no, your kid can do dishes and they can make their bed and stuff, because we showed them how, and we have the evidence. And so it's a chance for kids to learn those type of skills that maybe they might be hesitant to learn at first, because no kid really wants to do chores. But then I think once they realize it, and once we really tell them, hey, like, we're not just asking you to do this just because, like, this could mean for your future that you're going to be able to go and live independently, and you're going to be able to go to college and live in the dorms like your peers are going to. And then they realize, oh, that's what this is for. And then they have so much pride in learning what these skills can do. And so it's a great opportunity. Usually that's for our older kids about 10 and up, and they just learn so much, and they come back year after year and build on those skills, and they get to practice at home and come back and share the next year. I've come so far and I couldn't do this a year ago and now I can. So it's really neat to see them be able to do that.
And I think it's inspiring too for each other, because when you look around and you see others and what they can do, their ability, and you realize, wow, look what they're doing. I can do that too. Like, it starts to mentally shift, in terms of what is possible. And I think that to me is so important in terms of the confidence, the self-esteem, what that means in terms of realizing their own dreams when they see others that are accomplishing so much as well. Carry that into the wheelchair basketball and the leagues, which I think are really cool as well.
Yeah, so we have 2 travel wheelchair basketball teams called the Music City Thunder. And we have 2 because they're divided up into age groups. It's part of the National Wheelchair Basketball Association. And we go from the fall then into the spring is our season, and we travel all around to our conference. We have a conference just like everybody else does, so we're in the SEC conference. And so we travel to Birmingham and to North Carolina and South Carolina and Atlanta, and then a couple of other states as well. And they get to play around other kids just like them. And so I think it's great on the sports level, because they're getting to play sports, they're getting to play sports competitively, and then they're getting to go tell their able-bodied peers, like, hey, I had a tournament this weekend and this is how we did, and their peers learn too what their capabilities are. But then our kids who are already really excited to be around other kids who look like them by being part of Able Youth, then there might be 15 other different teams of other kids. And so that now, they're in a room with hundreds of other kids who look like them, and to then realize, okay, I really am not the only one out there who is in my situation and who is thriving. And that just brings them so much confidence. And so, again, like you had said before, that just it helps them in so many levels from the sports to the social to then learning how to travel independently and some independent travel skills because they are traveling. And so I think, a lot of times the reason they're traveling is because there are not other kids like them to play locally. Like other kids would be able to go to the local rec center and play games, and our kids can't do that. But in the process, they learn so much by being able to travel and what that entails and building those skills as well. So we really fuse everything into what we do.
Carry that into then the adaptive athletic meets.
Yeah, and that's also a kind of a similar situation where we go to other states to travel and do their meets there. And so they also get to see, actually, sometimes it's a lot of the same kids, sometimes it's different kids, but sometimes it's the same kids that they play basketball against, and they will go and compete. And that's really great opportunity for kids to do something totally different in sports. Some kids may not love the eye-hand coordination that comes to playing basketball, but when it comes to doing track and field, that might be something that they're really into and might be one of their top skills. And so getting to be part of the team with the teammates, but kind of doing an individual sport is great for some kids as well. And so again, they get to travel and they get to see other kids like them, and they get to learn just even more things that they can do, which is a wonderful experience for them.
Talk about some of the other opportunities. I know that there's rock climbing, there's some other things that you all do.
Yeah, there's three gyms in town that offer adaptive rock climbing, and so that is done every month. We participate in some road races, and they're usually local, and so that's the benefit of that getting to do that locally. And we partner with Achilles International to be able to do that. We're really always adding something new and something different, and so there's really always something that they can do and something that kids can latch onto as something that they can either try for the first time or to be able to grow in, whether it's competitive or whether it's just completely recreational, and anything is fine. And we're excited to help our kids learn any new sport that they want to try out.
So how can the community get involved? How can we support your efforts?
Yeah, so we have a website, which is www.ableyouth.org, and you can find out more information. You can watch a video of our kids in action, and you can donate there. We're also on Facebook, and that's another great way to learn about what we're doing. And then, we have other kinds of things that are going on just around town that you can Google us and find out about as well. But we really do appreciate all of the support people give us. We are completely funded by either private grants or completely by donations. And I think maybe it was kind of obvious, but maybe kind of not, that traveling, a lot of things we do involve traveling, and that's takes some money. And the wheelchairs that our kids need, and if they want to be competitive, are upwards of $3,000 each. And so we get those as a program and then allow our kids to use those once they decide that this is something that they want to pursue. They can do a lot of it on the recreational level on their own chairs, but once they decide they might want to compete, then they need to be able to be on an equal playing level with other teams and to have a different wheelchair to be able to compete. And so a lot of those are added expenses, and we're really grateful for all of the support that we get from the community.
Talk about volunteer opportunities. I know that there are a number of events and ways to plug in. So talk about volunteerism and other ways that we can engage.
Yeah, we do have some opportunities with our monthly Super Sport Saturdays, but then we also have a yearly golf tournament, which this year is in September. And so people can volunteer at that. We have every other year, we host our own wheelchair basketball tournament. And this year we brought in 15 teams from around the country to be able to compete. And we need lots of volunteers for that. We have lots of things that come up every once in a while that it just might be something people can do once if they're looking for a smaller opportunity. And so we would love to have people to be able to volunteer.
Talk about why this work is so important in the larger context. When you look at confidence, the athleticism and the skills, but really to me, a bigger sense of belonging and knocking down stereotypes and bringing community together. I think there's a lot that shows the ability, but also the community of what you're building. And so talk about the larger picture of what you're doing with Able Youth in terms of creating community in the larger sense.
Yeah, so something that people might not know is that I was born with a disability as well. I have spina bifida and have used the wheelchair my whole life. And so I remember when I was very young, I actually got to know some people with disabilities before I even knew what a friend was. That was that young. And there were opportunities for me there right away that I got to participate in. And so I don't remember a time where I didn't really have that community, but our kids come in and a lot of them don't. And so they don't have that sense of belonging and they don't have that confidence because they've always been the only one. They don't know what their possibility is in life. And so once they learn and they start to show what they can do, then other people pick up on it too, because they start to learn, oh, well, I didn't know that my friend could, play basketball or that my friend could do, whatever it is. And so then they learn and then they start to have a different perception of what people with disabilities like. And then they share it and it just goes on from there. And, I think the world has changed by just playing adaptive sports and having our kids learn what they can do and sharing that with others and being who they were meant to be from the very beginning, just knowing who they are and following through with that. And other people can see that and they can learn what people with disabilities can do and their lives are changed too.
So once again, everyone, the website is ableyouth.org. And so, Amy, thank you for all you and your amazing team do to power the good. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services is proud to power the City Current Show. We're a people-first company that protects what matters most, the families, businesses, and trailblazers that keep our community going. As one of the nation's top independent insurance firms, Higginbotham is a single-source solution for business insurance, employee benefits, HR services, and personal insurance that's customized for you. We're here to serve you, the people you care about, and your community. Call 866-377-1959 or visit higginbotham.com.